I never know what they're doing there.
My favorite new kid. Hi, Cecil, Lammey. How are you?
Call me Donnie. Call me Joey. What I always misquote it, but like, I have no use for a man with no shopping agenda.
Yes.
I need to get that quote right because I love that quote.
I thought it was shopping agenda.
It is shopping agenda, but it's like I have no I have no purpose. I have no
respect. Time. I have no respect for people with no shopping agenda. That's what was said.
I have no respect for people with no shopping agenda. Right. There we go. All right.
Yeah.
We'll call it good.
The maligned part of Kevin Smith's 1990s, or as it were. But, yeah.
So here we go. And away we go. Denver Broncos fans, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Good to see you again. Just saw you out there at Broncos.
Yeah, saw you in the locker room. We got plenty to talk about. But we start with, what can help Bo Nix the most against the Steelers? A ground game now, Mace, that will not feature Audric Estime, an ankle injury on injured reserve, meaning he'll miss at least 4 weeks.
Yeah, and fascinating to see what they do personnel-wise now. The roster move that was made was Michael Burton of the 53 just going ahead and doing that. So not using a practice squad elevation there on Michael Burton anymore. They used one last Sunday. Now he's back on the 53. But I'm fascinated to see what they do with the number 3 running back because, of course, you have Blake Watson on the 53, but you also have Tyler Beatty, who's on the practice squad, had a really good camp. I would not be surprised if we see Beatty maybe finally get his first regular season look elevated from the practice squad to the 53 for this weekend. Don't be shocked if that happens.
Yeah, and with Beatty, like he's been working so hard to get that opportunity, Mace. As big of a Blake Watson fan as you and I both are, I honestly want to see Beatty up first because he's put in the time. And Watson's going to be there. But Beatty, give him a shot because he'll bring energy to this backfield, something that is sorely needed.
Yeah, he hasn't had that regular season shot since the end of the 2022 season when he took it to the house for Jerry Rosburg there.
Touchdown.
Good old Jerry Rosburg.
We
need to have a couple of Rosburg quotes permanently in the back end on the production, I think. Because sometimes you just want to think of something that makes you feel good, and that's what Jerry Rosburg did.
Yeah, it made us.
He said a lot of words, but he spoke from the heart.
Yes, he did, and he spoke a lot.
I like that.
So got a big heart with Rosburg. Man alive, does this team need to run the ball? We'll get more into the matchup in terms of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Just for the rookie quarterback, you cannot go into a game with 40 passing attempts for a rookie. It's just not smart football, and there's so many things to point to. Javonte, it's time, man. Like, it's time. This team has believed in you. They've worked through you with the injuries with you. You came back perhaps even a little bit too fast last year, but this year and losing the weight, like the faith has been shown in Javonte. Mace, it's time for that faith to be rewarded.
Yeah, for the faith to be rewarded. Otherwise, you move on down the line and you see who else has got it. That's the thing, because unfortunately with Javonte Williams, that first 9-yard run, I think we thought, okay, this is going to be a good day for Javonte, right? He slipped on the next carry in the backfield, something I asked him about after the game, and he pointed to the new turf being laid down. But man, I mean, this is a bottom line business, okay? It's cruel, but it is what it is. And the bottom line on Javonte Williams is he has not averaged 4 yards per carry in a game since October 22nd of last year against Green Bay. Since then, 3.15, 3.76, 3.36, 3.61, 354, 388, 225, 218, 273, 356, 288. 11 consecutive games averaging under 4 yards a carry. I mean, it's tough to say this, but the clock is ticking right now. I mean, as it was, we saw basically on Sunday, it was running back by committee with Javonte, Jaleel, and Audric Estime. That the way they used the running backs on Sunday, I mean, he did play the most snaps. He played 52% of the snaps, but the usage in terms of having the football, that didn't look like RB1, RB2, RB3. That looked like RB1, RB1A with him and Jaleel McLaughlin. And not that it was a great day for Jaleel McLaughlin, but you could say that Jaleel was closer to popping one to the house than Javonte was.
Yep. And all it takes is one of those to break a game open. In a close game like this, you're going to need a guy like Jaleel. And if Javonte doesn't get it done, they will move more towards Jaleel, and then Javonte being perhaps more of a closer. Or maybe it's Beatty. I mean, they need help. So who can help? Keep your feet, Jaleel. That's all I got to say.
That's the thing. Keep your feet. You always say that. I mean, there it was. If he keeps his feet on that burst off the left edge, he's in. Man, when he got the ball and I saw the alley opening up, I thought he's got this. I thought touchdown. Because he hit fifth gear so fast. I mean, that's the thing. Like even in a frustrating game for Jaleel McLaughlin, you see it. You see that it's there to be had. But he's got to take advantage of the opportunities that avail themselves as well, because, you know, they like how Tyler Beatty has worked. You know, I think they got to kind of encourage him a little bit now that he's back on the practice squad again. And they like Blake Watson long term. That's why they kept him on the 53. They kept Blake Watson because they believe in him long term, and they feel like with going on the NFI, he just kind of got off track. But the other thing is also on Blake Watson, they love his speed, and they love Jaleel's speed. And speed and burst is going to keep you in this lineup.
Yep. Playmakers.
Long term. Yeah.
Where are the playmakers at for this team? And we get to round of finger pointing, but we don't really finger point on the show. We just give you reasons. How did you feel about us talking to Quinn today? I felt Quinn's been really hard on himself. He was hard on himself on the Zoom call. Yeah. And then today, when we were right next to him, dude, I just was like, Quinn, you're being too hard on yourself.
I'll tell you. I mean, he talked Monday and he talked today. First of all, like, it's a different crowd in there on Wednesday than on the Zoom call on Monday.
Sure.
It was interesting because, like, I had my hand raised to ask Quinn a question, and in one of his answers, he answered my question, and so I put my virtual hand down on the Zoom. But this is like both times harder on himself today than he was on Monday. I think because on Monday he hadn't yet fully kind of dissected all the film yet.
Right.
Now here he is 2 days later, having gone through the film, and man, he's just, I mean, I respect the fact that he talked both times. That's what captains do. Like, he kind of passed a test there of what it means to put that C patch on your jersey. So yeah, I appreciate that. But man, let's start with his first. This was, I believe, his first answer that he had with the group of media. This was actually while Sean Payton was talking. So I was setting up my camera on Sean Payton, and then I came in there. But let's hear just Quinn basically say, "It's on me."
Yeah, I would say some of my problems, I wasn't doing the techniques, that I've been coached to do all training camp. Just kind of wasn't keeping my feet underneath myself, wasn't using my hands like I normally do. And so it was good to have that feedback of knowing that the technique that I do during practice is more than good enough for a game, and I got to trust that.
Trust your technique.
Yeah. There were a lot of things that seemed to go askew on Sunday.
Yes.
We'll get into it a little bit later because Adam Troutman said some interesting stuff.
Big clue.
Yes. But, I mean, we talked up the environment of going to Seattle heading into it. And it was funny. Like, we kept hearing, oh, well, Bo Nix is handling it fine. All that. I think Bo Nix actually did handle it fine. Hearing from other guys, I'm not sure everyone else handled it fine.
Yeah, and they would answer that, and some of them did answer that for us today in the locker room. The second Meinerz clip here, when he talks about the film just revealing the truth. This is another guy, he's just falling on the sword, but you know he's going to correct it because his technique from practice is something he can trust. Here's Meinerz kind of following up that on his technique problems.
Well, for one, it's the truth, and for two, the film doesn't lie, and so you can look at the film and see me not being myself and my normal self of the way I play these games. So it was definitely a little bit of a wake up call for myself, and so I'm looking to improve this week, attack practice a little bit different, and really come into this game with a little bit more confidence in doing what I do.
We'll talk about attacking practice. You see him there wearing shoulder pads. So, right there, not getting off easy today.
Right.
I mean, I'm just kind of like going through, going to sound like Sean Payton relative to the times that we get to watch practice.
Okay.
But seemed like they went a while today.
Was a bit of a delay.
Seemed like there was a lot to do today.
Mm-hmm.
After Sunday. Hey, there's a lot to fix. I mean, a lot that, and the thing about this game, I mean, you hope they're not sitting there at the end of the season lamenting 3 chances in the red zone from which they got 2 field goals in the first half. Effectively, they got 8 points rather than 6 because the safety after the interception, I mean, that is, you kind of have to say the safety is a product of the field position. But even so, possible 21 points, you get 8. Like I said, that's where you lost the game. Despite all that went wrong, this was still something that was in their hands. I actually would say this. If they do cash in the red zone a bit better, but everything else remains the same, that might not have been the best result long term, because then it's like, oh, well, you had to basically, you would have won on good field position that was set up by your defense and your special teams. Defense was terrific in the first half, not so much in the second half. Special teams was pretty darn good all day.
Yeah.
I mean, with better red zone efficiency, you're talking about perhaps 28 points rather than 20, or you're talking about 33 points rather than 20. But you're not that much more productive as a whole, right? So you might have had the game where you won, but the win would have masked the issues. It would have been a deodorant for the issues that were still there. And perhaps you get more out of the fact that you lost this game. You know what I'm saying? That
you definitely get a different taste in your mouth.
Yeah. I mean, if you win, I mean, let's say that Javonte Williams doesn't slip there on second down, right? It's not that much better of a day for the running game, but maybe you have a touchdown on that drive, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe you get a touchdown from one of the other 2 forays in the red zone. It's, maybe you get one more play. you're still looking at if it's a pass, you're still looking at Bo Nix at the end of the day and saying, oh my gosh, he's averaging like 3.8 yards per attempt. I mean, a lot of the same things are there, but you won. But maybe when you win, you don't kind of reassess in the way that like Quinn Meinerz is reassessing. That's what defeat can do sometimes.
After one game, he's reassessing like that and getting back to the drawing board, if you will, but also fired up and motivated. And Vic Fangio, our dear friend, would always say false positives. Yeah, you win in that scenario in Seattle and you still mess up. Well, that's a false positive. You
and
saw
it would
that
have
around
caught
the league.
Yeah. And it would have caught up to you. Like we more and more now that preseason doesn't get you as much as it did 10, 20 years ago. September football looks like August football, right?
It's replaced it.
And yes, you're trying to fix things on the fly. You're trying to fix the plane while it's in the air. But when you get the win, maybe you don't know what went wrong. You don't think about it as much. Well, you're thinking about it, and you're thinking about all the things that went askew, including communication, which is something Adam Troutman got into when he answered some questions today.
Yeah, I think we just need to communicate better. There was a lot of miscommunications, I think, last game, but we had a hell of a training camp running the ball. We did it well in the preseason, and I don't care what, obviously it was the preseason, but we did do it well. So we have a lot of confidence in it, and we're not shook by it at all that we didn't have success, honestly.
Not to use the environment as a crutch, but how much did that contribute to miscommunication?
Yeah, it's always tough when you're on silent, when you go silent cadence and all this type of stuff, and then you can't really, you can't hear. But that's just part of it, and you don't really get that in the preseason because it's not very loud, obviously. So, but being exposed to that early on and being like, all right, this is what it's like, type of thing is a good thing for us.
Being exposed to it early on, there you go.
Yep.
It was tough to open in a place like Seattle, but you got that lesson out of the way. Like, okay, the silent count where things were pre-snap, it wasn't where you want it to be. So when you go down to Tampa in 11 days, when you go to New York 7 days beyond that, and you're actually operating in environments that will not be quite as loud as Seattle. I mean, I think noise-wise on the Broncos' schedule this year, the only place you're going to get a din like you had in Seattle, Kansas City, maybe Cincinnati if they're playing well at the end of the year.
That depends.
Yeah. You're not going to – in Vegas, you're not going to get that because half the crowd's going to be for the Broncos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're going to be Broncos fans there. It's like a road game against the Chargers. It's going to be all Broncos fans.
Hey,
so
that's
respond.
Vegas and Chargers. That's two kind of, I wouldn't call them free spaces, but in terms of environments that are not that hostile, I mean, you over the years you replaced San Diego and Oakland. Now San Diego, you'd have some Broncos fans, but San Diego was also a place where when the buses were going through the parking lot, you'd get stuff thrown at you.
Yep, they show up in San Diego.
Yeah, we all know about it in Oakland. They did that in San Diego too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Chargers had some hardcore fans. Make no mistake about that.
San Diego fans. They had some hardcore San Diego fans.
San Diego, yes.
They got no Los Angeles Chargers fans.
San Diego Superchargers.
Yeah, it's great.
Disco, everybody.
We'll get more into it later in the week, but how many Steelers fans will be there, percentage-wise?
More than you'd like.
25%?
Ooh.
30%? I'm not going to go higher than 30%. It can't be higher. Not now.
Yeah, 20. I'm going to say 20%.
20%. Okay.
But that's still, man, that's like 15,000.
Mm-hmm. Still noisy.
That's not good. That's not the way it used to be around here.
No.
Well, as John Belushi, Bluto, and Animal House said, what the bleep happened to the Delta I used to know? we're going to look around and see way too many of those stupid yellow towels.
Well, the Broncos, and Jim Sacamano will tell you, Broncos had the towel first. Steelers ripped it off.
I got an orange towel behind me. It's no longer a blue towel. It doesn't say let's ride. It's just Orange Sunday.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking,
you got rid of that.
Yeah, they are. Speaking of Orange Sunday, I hope they wear orange pants this week myself.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the white on white top. Give me the orange pants, man.
Well, I think also I know you're not a fashion person, but having the white socks with the white pants really it's dull. It's boring. Like it's clean. It's a plague around the league. It's like there's nothing distinct about it. Too many teams are doing that. I saw the Panthers do that. It looked horrible on them. No, you're the Panthers. You bring out those socks that got the splash of blue on them, right? Just jazz it up a little bit. Yeah, I will not be happy if they come home on Sunday and they're wearing orange pants or they're wearing white pants. Maybe those seats. Maybe you lose that opener and everyone's superstitious, right? And maybe that's what it's going to take to see the orange pants with the white jersey more often. Maybe you just got to win in the regular season. Just win, baby.
That's all you got to do. Roger asks, how do you get the run game going? There's two things. And again, further game plan stuff. But for me, Mace, it's draw plays.
Yeah. And
I run right at TJ Watt. Not that that'll be that effective. He is a great run defender as well. But you've got to wear these guys down and maybe even to take a page from Seattle and use tempo as a weapon at altitude. Like you could go a little up tempo. Now you have to keep moving the chains or else you're really screwing your defense. If you go up tempo and then you're going 3 and out, your defense is really getting screwed. But like, how do you run the ball against this front? The corners are great. The rushers are great. You're going to hope you can go in the middle, but there's Patrick Queen. Right. So this is a defense that has talent at every single level. So for me, I'm going draw plays and I'm running student body left, student body right, and lots of, 12 personnel, 22 personnel, 13 personnel. Get the big boys out there and push them around. Yeah,
you hit the nail on that. I was about to say the personnel. I got to see. I want to see 12 and I want to see 21. Michael Burton replacing Audric Estime on the 53-player roster. Burton was going to play anyway, but I want to see him out there. I want to see heavy packages. Last week, the Broncos, I believe, ran 13 personnel to start the game, if I'm not mistaken, with 3 tight ends. Let's see some more of that. This is, and then take your shots judiciously, but start there. And I like the idea of running at TJ Watt. I'd rather run at Watt than Alex Highsmith if I'm going to go to one. If I'm going to go to one side.
Right.
And I mean, Atlanta didn't have a bad game running the ball last week on these guys. Their running backs averaged 4.24 yards per carry. Probably didn't stick with it as long as they should have in the game.
But boy, they made Kirk Cousins look mortal. There's a danger sign there. That's a really good offense. I'm biased anyway for Zach Robinson, but like that's a good offense, and they made Kirk Cousins look like crap.
Yes, a good offense with good targets.
Yeah, talent all over the place.
And Atlanta had 226 yards in that game. I mean, to just go through the through Atlanta's drives here. They started off field goal drive, right? Interception, punt, touchdown, and then fumble, punt, interception, end of game. And their net yardage on their last 6 drives cease 13-0, -5, 7, 13, and -2. So in the second half, those are their second half drives. They choked the life out of the Falcons.
So what they'll do, they'll sense blood in the water.
Yeah, and it's and also, I mean, and I'll admit I underestimated them because I looked at the game the way it was trending at halftime. I thought Atlanta's going to pull away here, as we've seen so many times with that Shanahan-McVay offense. That it gets going. It's all about rhythm and echoes that we see from the first quarter to the fourth quarter. No, Pittsburgh kept them from finding that gear. And that's an offense that's got a lot more weapons than the Broncos offense appears to have so far. At least weapons that are effective. I think the Broncos have some weapons. They've just got to use them effectively. And in week 1, they did not.
Nate asks, what's the Roger asks, what's the latest on Garrett Bolles?
Side field today, X-rays negative, MRI negative.
Okay.
So the fact that he's out on the side field moving, that's a good sign. I think the big thing will be, does he get back out there Thursday or Friday? What was Nate asking, by the way, that you had on there, and then
it's all about smiles and cries, Mace. What? Yeah, I don't exactly know what he's talking about. So
don't either. Smiles and sunshine.
Yeah, they call it Moonshine and Midwest is our new nickname.
Oh, okay. Because I like the smiles and sunshine thing. That's from The Simpsons. Big Germans aren't all smiles and sunshine when they buy the power plant.
Matthew also says coaching doesn't seem up to par. The biggest shock to me was the game plan. The game plan didn't seem real sound because in Seattle, you don't go against the corners. You go to the middle. Greg Dulcich didn't get a target till the fourth quarter. That's just wrong. It's wrong.
Yeah. Use your talent. Use what avails itself to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Broncos didn't do that.
They did not do that. They got
Marvin Mims targeted once. The Mims thing, it's also we heard from Sean Payton multiple times about getting him more involved. It said kind of Jerry Jeudy was in the way of getting him involved last year. Okay, Jerry Judy's not in the mix. Why isn't he playing more? Now some of that's on him, but some of he's got to become a more effective short to intermediate pass catcher with those routes. But at the same time, also you've got to play the strengths that you have, and you need a dynamic vertical threat here because otherwise get used to those safeties cheating up into the box and choking things off short to intermediate, which is going to make it more difficult to run, which goes back to the thing we're talking about. And it's going to make them, and then all of a sudden, a lot of those plays, those slants, they're not going to break. They're not going to break. You're going to keep seeing plays where there's little to no yardage after the catch.
Again.
Yeah. This could, they got to fix it because, man, on top of everything else, this is the entertainment business. It's sports, but it's also entertainment. And this offense, if this is what we see in future weeks, it is not entertaining at all. It's not dynamic football.
No, I won't go as far. I think Shannon Sharp said it on his podcast, not on his IG Live. But I think
he said something on his IG.
Yes, he did. Well, he didn't. Someone else did. But anyway, I'll save my comments. But even James, our dear leader on DenverSports.com, James Marilat's like, Sean Payton's offense is outdated. I'm like, I don't see that at all. I don't agree with Shannon Sharp when he says that. I don't agree with James Marilat when he says that. That's not true whatsoever, in my opinion.
Conceptually, Detroit's doing a great many of the same things as the Broncos, but they've got speed at skill spots. Right.
And a quarterback that's well-versed in it, right? So get everything up to speed, get the proper level of talent, and watch this thing go. But at no point when I watch film of every team, as I chart plays, Mace, do I think the Broncos are in the past with what they want to do offensively.
They looked in the past last year. What they want to do, I don't think they were in the past on Sunday.
No.
Now, that being said, you do have to stick with the run a bit longer. If Bo Nix is throwing the ball 42 times a game, this is going to be a long season.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to be a slog.
Well, and I think this game against the Steelers is going to be a slog. When we were talking to Troutman, what'd you call it? You called it like a slugfest. You said something with Troutman today, or was it McGlinchey?
Oh, I said no to Riley Moss.
To Riley Moss, okay, yeah.
Slobber knocker, because Riley Moss made a comparison to a game that I unfortunately know very well, and that's the annual Iowa-Wisconsin game, which habitually sets offensive football back about 40 years. Like last year, it was during the Broncos mini-bye, and I was at the Iowa-Wisconsin game, and it was Luke Fickell, his first game coaching in that rivalry, and he didn't understand that when you have 4th and 1 at the 9-yard line, you take the points because field goals are like touchdowns in that game. And of course he went for it against Iowa's stout defense, didn't get it. And it's like, dude, clearly you haven't been in any of these games before. You don't understand what kind of animal this is. But I bring that up because you know something? This might be a game where a field goal feels like a touchdown. The old baseball cliche about the playoffs, a single's like getting a run in terms of the impact that it has. That's what this game might feel like. So, yep. I mean, in all likelihood, unless there are some defensive touchdowns and special teams touchdowns, this is probably 16-13 type of game incoming.
And what that means is one play. One Marvin Mims end around. One Marvin Mims return.
Yes. We know Pittsburgh has that explosive capability on its offense, and it's one of the things that has allowed them to avoid having a losing season for the entirety of Mike Tomlin's tenure, because even when they've got crap quarterback play like Mason Rudolph, Duck Hodges, last year Mitchell Trubisky, even like end of career Ben Roethlisberger was not a good quarterback.
Nope.
At all. And yet they're going to the playoffs. Why? Because they know how to find the right kind of skill guys that can turn a game on its ear like that. Marvin Mims Jr. can be one of those guys. Troy Franklin could be one of those guys. I don't know if Troy's ready for that role yet, but at some time you're going to want to nudge him out there and see what he can do. He's probably not ready to leave the nest just yet, but at some point you got to push him out and see what he does.
Yeah, can't hold their hand the whole time.
And you got to, and with Marvin Mims Jr., I think you have to play to his gifts, because there are clubs in his bag that no one else that you're playing right now on offense has.
And I know they can. It's not like this coaching staff is terribly stubborn, because you have to play to his gift, Mace, while also at the same time not being mad he can't do everything. Because he can't. That's why he's not out there.
Yes. Again, I go the old school example, Rick Upchurch. You know, they worked early in his career and trying to learn how to be a more complete receiver. They worked him in on offense for some spots, and they said, go out there and do your thing on returns. And he was an explosive component for a team that didn't have a lot of explosiveness. But you got to throw him out there. You got to use it. You got to use him correctly, man. I mean, he gets separation. I'm not seeing a lot of separation from other guys.
Nope.
Greg Dulcich, you got to use him. I mean, he played the most of any tight end last week, and he barely saw the ball.
And didn't get
not until the fourth quarter. Yeah. Come on. Take advantage of the talent and the situation that avails itself to you. That's what this is. I mean, there are answers within that locker room. I mean, is it as talented as some other locker rooms? No. But there are answers there that can make this thing better.
Super quick before out of here, why'd they sign Caden Davis?
Because he's always the first guy on the field.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, they had Denzel Mims in for that tryout of 4 receivers yesterday, and Caden Davis was the one they signed.
Don't they have too many Denzels already of like tall, fast guys, like tall guys? Like, okay, Caden's 6'1", but whatever.
Well, it's like they have, they have the bigger guys, but then they also have the smaller guys filling out the practice squad. Like, They're not going to quit Michael Bandy.
4 receivers on the practice squad, right?
Yeah.
4 receivers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
And here's the deal. Like, if you have all these receivers and all these running backs, because you have Tyler Beatty on the practice squad too, and you have Blake Watson sitting there inactive. And if you can't get explosiveness from the guys who are out there, then you keep going down the list until and trying things and trying guys until you find it.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's another thing on a lot of if you start going through the contracts of the players at running back and wide receiver, cease. There's no permanence to anybody at wide receiver and running back.
No.
Not at all. There's permanence to your offensive lineman.
Sure.
Mike McGlinchey is going to be around. Who had a good game on Sunday, by the way.
The best game of any offensive lineman.
Yes, yeah. If you get that from McGlinchey another 16 games, you're gonna that's what you brought him in for. Mike kind of talked a couple of times in the last few months about how he really thought this year was going to be better than last year, and then for him and Zach Streif said the same thing.
Oh, we lost Mace. We lost his audio. We'll get him back.
I'm
now
back.
We got you back. Yeah, you're back.
Wait, do you don't have my audio? Yeah.
No, we have your audio.
So, yeah. But Ben Powers, Quinn Meinerz, Mike McGlinchey, those dudes are going to be around. They have permanence.
Nobody in the backfield does. Nobody, buddy. And the more you know. That's right. If only we had the jingle to go with that.
Yes.
All right, Mace, before we're out of here, we got to tell everyone, thank you for watching. And the show tomorrow, once again, will be at 4:30 because we're going to be at Open Locker Room. We're going to talk to coordinators tomorrow as well. So we'll bring you the latest there to this program and see what the Broncos can do as they prepare for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And before we're out of here, we have to tell people we need your help. Your help. You can help us on YouTube. And Mace, how do people do that?
Like,
comment,
share,
subscribe,
and hit that notification bell.
And hit that period at the end of your sentence. So that you
never miss a vid.
That's right. He's Andrew Mason. He's typing feverishly. I'm Cecil Lammey saying thanks for watching, everyone. Love ya. Stay tuned. And would you please, OBTs BFT, stay frosty.